Today I'm going to go over a pine plantation. I had a customer ask me to come down to Maryland, take a look at this old paper company land that he bought. It's 80 acres. It's got a road on two sides, some private forest here, and a couple of farms around him. The first thing I like to do when I look at any property is to zoom out and see what's going on in the surrounding terrain. So we have some large woodlots scattered around, but mostly farms within a square mile. So this patch right here represents some great cover right smack in the middle of a lot of farms. Okay, so this is all hardwood. You can see that it's not thinned or anything. And then there seems to be row crops out here. This looks like a cover crop of some kind. Not sure what time of year this picture was, but everything's still green, so I imagine it's sometime in the late summer, possibly. So anyway, I'm looking at this and I can see that number one, there's a cell tower in the middle of it and a road leading out to the cell tower and some open ground. I don't know what really was going on in here. Um, I'm thinking right away, I'm looking for spots that I can put food plots. So this obviously was harvested and it looks to be replanted, or maybe that's just weeds. I'll find out when I'm on the ground. There's some roadways in here. This looks like a wet spot to me, so it could be a little swampy, and that's very interesting. But the next thing I like to do is go on the time slider, bring up the time slider, and we'll get the history of this place, okay? So let's go all the way back. The earliest one is 1985, and it's not coming into focus. So 92, isn't that interesting? That place that was cut off, okay, and clear cut, in 1992, that was planted pines. This was farmland. Planted pines down here around that, what I think is probably a swamp. Planted pines here. And then when you go forward in time, okay, you got more growth. They planted these open areas. So now you know that there's two different age classes in there. Stuff's growing, 2009. Closed canopy. Oh, 2015, this was clear cut. So now I know what I'm probably going to end up seeing, and that is this is replanted and it's going to be pines with a bunch of brambles in between, a lot of weeds and whatnot growing up in there. So that could be my primary bedding area in that thick stuff. I can also see that they did some uh, strip clear cuts here where they took out every other row or every third row. It looks like every third row possibly. So I'd be curious as to what's growing in between there. That's something that we might be able to plant all of these strips in food, everything in between, okay? So I may have a situation where my bedding cover is here and my food is down here, and I have a cell tower with nice access coming in um, to the middle to get in between them. Most of the time, the wind is coming out of the northwest in this part of the country, so it's coming across this way, and we may be able to sneak right up that road, get into a stand somewhere, and catch deer coming across. Another thing that I'm going to look at is possibly capturing deer that are traveling. There's a big wood lot here, great place to cross the road. Big wood lot over here. So obviously I'm going to need a food plot that goes like this. some sort of linear or boomerang type thing where if a deer is coming into this property, it's going to get to a food source or a travel corridor that makes it want to turn and go parallel with the border. That way it's not just cutting straight across and heading out to these fields or something like that. Now, the other thing is that this is all daylight feed, dark time feed. So at night they're out here, you got tons and tons of agriculture. So more critical to what deer need and keeping them on the property is going to be cover. So once I get boots on the ground and take a look at the whole place, then I'll start thinking about what I want to do in here as far as food and cover, and make sure they have food, cover, water, and then talk about how you approach the hunt. You know, maybe we can put something along this road or just let the pines come up if they're tall enough now, and screen the road so you can sneak in here when the winds are right. And if the winds are coming off the ocean, this is down in Maryland, or Delaware actually, if the winds are coming off the ocean and coming this way, then we can approach it from this road and hunt a boomerang here. But we'll see. So this is part one. This is how I get started. You know, before I come to see your property, I will take a look at the history of the property on Google Earth, and I will see what's going on in the neighborhood. Here's a winter picture. So you can see that that's all hardwood. This is all hardwood. This area across the street looks like it was clear cut at one time, so you know that's going to be thick. If you go back in time and look at it, that spot was clear cut. So I think we have good cover here. But anyway, this is part one, and part two, I'll make a video of what I see on the ground on this thing, and I'll post that up in the upper right corner and down in the comments down below of the video, so that you can click on that and then see what I actually see on the ground. I think that'll be pretty interesting. And I can't wait to get down to this property. I love working with these pine plantations because it gives you kind of a blank slate. It's easy to cut pine and get rid of it. What happened with these pulpwood companies is they bought a lot of land and planted pine on it, but since they're the only softwood paper company, it's the only game in town, they figure they're going to get the wood anyway. There's no place else to go with the wood, so why hold on to the land? So they sold all their land. So that's how this came on the market. It's kind of interesting. Also, it looks like there's pretty sandy soils because it's very bright in between. You know, there's a bright background to all the bare soil here. So we'll have to see what we see. I'll take some soil tests and see what's growing in those fields and what stage these trees are in. So we know that these were planted in the early 90s, and it's 2021, so yeah, they should be pretty tall by now and make really good cover. All right, well, I'll see you on the next one. Be sure and click down below and take a look at what we see on the ground here.